The weather forecast coming from the DV mentioned that today in New York, it will be sunny with occasional clouds. Facing the bathroom mirror, I checked for any missed spots while shaving my beard. I am the sales director of a small company with just over 30 employees. And today was the day of a crucial business negotiation that could determine the fate of our company. For the past few years, the company had been struggling, facing significant losses. At this rate, we might go bankrupt. All the employees were deeply concerned. The chance that came our way was this major negotiation with a big corporation. I was assigned to lead the presentation. I joined the company 20 years ago when it was still small. Together with the founding members, we worked tirelessly, hand in hand, to grow the company. Destroying this company, to which I am so emotionally attached, was unthinkable. I had bought a new shirt and suit for this day, and I was fully motivated to succeed. Finally, I put on the time my wife gave me on our anniversary and grabbed my phone to send her a message. My wife, Emily, who is 10 years younger than me, is currently hospitalized in a city hospital. She has been suffering from a rare disease for the past 3 years. Busy with work, I can only visit her on weekends, but we stay in touch through texts and calls during the week. I had told Emily about the business negotiation. When I messaged, "I'm heading out," she replied, "Good luck." During our last phone call, she expressed concern, saying, "I'm sorry I can't be there to support you at such a critical time." I responded with a laugh, "Then send me a fighting spirit text on the day of the negotiation." It's already this late. I chose an unused luxurious leather bag and put on the most expensive brand shoes I own. My attire was perfect. I had spent all of last night revising the documents. For several months, I had been preparing tirelessly, sparing little time for sleep. Confident, all that was left was to present. Full of determination, I took my usual crowded train to the office. Upon arriving at the office, I greeted my colleague James, who sits next to me. "Good morning, James." "Oh, good morning, David. Today is finally the day for that big negotiation, huh?" James is the deputy sales director, having joined the company in the same year as me. Just as James said, "Good luck," my phone rang. Looking at the screen, it was from the hospital where Emily is admitted. I had a bad feeling. When I answered the call, the woman on the phone said, "Are you Emily's husband?" Just now, her condition suddenly worsened, and she's in a very critical state. She's currently undergoing treatment in the ICU. Critical state. Please come to the hospital immediately. Is Emily going to die? No way. We just exchanged messages a little while ago. Shocked by the sudden news, I was visibly shaken. James approached me, noticing my distress. "David, what's wrong? You look pale. Did something happen to Emily?" "James, Emily. Her condition has suddenly worsened." "What? Then you must go to the hospital right away." "But I have an important business negotiation coming up." "Idiot. Is this the time to be saying that? If you don't go now, you might never see Emily again." James grabbed my shoulders and shook me. "But what will happen to the company if today's negotiation fails? If I don't go, no one else can take my place. If today's negotiation fails, the company could collapse. If the company that we've worked so hard to grow goes bankrupt, dozens of people, including the families of our employees, will be left destitute. I can't just think of myself and let such a situation happen. I can cause trouble for so many people. But if Emily dies while I'm at the negotiation..." Thinking of the worst-case scenario, I broke out in a cold sweat. As I continued to struggle internally, James spoke to me. "Is this the time to hesitate? I'll go to the negotiation in your place. You need to get to the hospital, otherwise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." "But James, you don't know the content of the presentation, do you? There's no time left before the negotiation. Can you really take over without any preparation?" Don't worry, I've been in sales for 20 years. I'm a veteran. Don't worry about that and go see Emily. You still have things you want to say to her, right? Things I want to say to Emily. Yes, there's something I haven't told her. I need to tell her, thank you for marrying me. Thank you for being with me and loving me. I've always been too shy to say it, but I want to tell her properly now. It's too painful to not be by her side while she's suffering. At least in her final moments, I want to hold her hand so she doesn't feel alone. Just leave the negotiation to me. Encouraged by James's words, I stood up from my seat. Thank you, James. I'm counting on you. I handed the presentation documents to James and headed to the hospital where my wife was. I ran from the station to the hospital and arrived at the ICU. I asked a nurse there. Excuse me, how is Emily's condition? The nurse replied. Emily, she's not here. I felt as if all the blood had drained from my body. My mind went blank. Then the nurse said, Emily has just finished her treatment and has been moved back to her regular room. Hearing that, I rushed to her room as if shot from a cannon. Please don't run in the hallway. I heard a nurse's voice from behind, but I couldn't pay attention to that. When I entered the room, Emily was sleeping on the bed. Emily, I called out to her hesitantly. Then, Emily's eyes suddenly opened. Emily, seeing my face, Emily smiled her usual smile. David, what happened? Don't you have an important negotiation today? Are you okay? Emily, I'm so relieved. I knelt in front of the bed and held Emily's hands in mine. You were just on the brink of life and death. Hearing that, Emily looked shocked. I'm so glad Emily is safe. I'm so glad I could see her again. Tears of relief streamed down my cheeks. Then Emily, too, started crying. David, I'm fine now, so you should hurry to the negotiation. Emily said that to me. Hearing this, and after being assured by Dr. Smith that Emily's condition was stable, I headed to the client's company. On the train, I looked at my watch and realized that the negotiation had already started. It might be too late to go now. This thought filled me with anxiety. But there might still be a chance. Hoping against hope, I found myself standing in front of the client's building. At that moment, I saw James coming out. Had the negotiation already ended? What was the result? Feeling anxious, I called out to James. James. Noticing me, James approached. David, how's Emily? Is she okay? I responded to James' concerned voice. Yeah, thankfully she's miraculously recovered and is now stable. James looked relieved. That's good to hear. But James, how did the negotiation go? When I asked about it, James' expression turned serious. Well, the presentation material you prepared with so much effort, it wasn't useful. Hearing James' words, I was stunned. Although I had braced myself for the worst, it was still a shock. So it is. It's not your fault. Trying to present with just the material on short notice was tough. It turned into a mess. I'm sorry. James said this, looking down, then raised his head, looked into my eyes, and dropped a bombshell. But the negotiation was successful. Really? How? I was puzzled. Then, James patted my shoulder and said, You see, the manager on their side, Michael, was a fan of Emily. When I told him your wife was the former singer Emily, he agreed to the contract with us. What, really? Yes, my wife Emily was once a member of a popular girls group when she was young. After marrying me, she retired from the entertainment industry to live as a homemaker. James talked about such a thing during an important negotiation. I was a bit astounded, but in the end it worked out. Well, you see, I honestly explained to Michael why you couldn't come today, and from there, it came out that your wife used to be a singer. Michael said Emily's songs and smiles had often cheered him up when he was feeling down and struggling with work. He was almost in tears talking about how he wanted to return the favor, and that's why he decided to contract with us this time. So that's how it was. What a coincidence. In a business negotiation critical to our company's future, I never imagined my wife would be the one to save us. But I had to be thankful to James for turning such a coincidence into a successful negotiation. James, thank you. It's nothing. Then we both returned to the office and reported the results to President Johnson, who was overjoyed. Our company was saved from bankruptcy. I was truly relieved. After work, James and I celebrated our success at our favorite bar, raising a toast. Half a year later, Emily's illness improved, and she was able to leave the hospital. I became good friends with Michael through work and even started going out for drinks together in our private time. I later found out that on the day of the negotiation, Michael had already decided to give us the job after seeing the presentation materials. Hearing this, I felt a bit relieved. Of course, the story about Emily was true too, Michael said with a shy smile. On Christmas that year, we decided to have a party at our house. We invited Michael, who had become a close friend, and of course, James was invited too. Michael was very happy to meet Emily. Nice to meet you, Emily. I'm so happy to meet you. Nice to meet you. My husband always speaks highly of you. They exchanged a firm handshake. As we ate the food Emily cooked and drank, Michael shared his story. Years ago, he went through a period of severe mental distress, began suffering from depression after a major mistake at work, and couldn't go to work. It was so severe that he even contemplated ending his own life. During that time, he became a fan of Emily's girls group, which gave him the courage to live. If it weren't for you, I might not be alive today. Thank you for giving me the strength to live. Hearing this, Emily started crying. I'm so happy to hear you say that. I'm glad I worked hard back then. Watching the two of them, I couldn't help but tear up a bit too. I had heard that idols give people dreams and courage. I really felt it then. 3 months later, when I returned from work, Emily ran up to me, saying, "Welcome back. I have something important to tell you." She then urged me to sit on the sofa, saying, "Please, sit down." "What is it?" "Well, I'm pregnant." Emily said this with a bright smile. "Really?" "Yes. I went to the hospital today. I'm 12 weeks along." "That's great, Emily." Overwhelmed with joy, I hugged Emily. 10 years have passed since then, and Emily's illness hasn't recurred. We now have a daughter. Look, Mom, what do you think of this dance move?" Saying this, our daughter held a mic in her right hand, singing and twirling her left hand, then placing it on her waist, swaying her fluffy skirt as she danced. She was going to sing at a school presentation in front of the whole school. The dance is good, but remember, smile more, smile, just like a former idol. Of course, my wife said playfully. Our daughter, now in the 4th grade, dreams of becoming a singer when she grows up. She was inspired by watching DVDs of Emily's performances, seeing how the audience smiled while listening to her songs. I want to give people energy with my songs, just like Mom. That's a recent catchphrase. Watching our daughter sing, my wife and I exchanged smiles.